He explains what has been learned from the restoration about Michelangelo's technique.
That Michelangelo used to make his plaster.
The plaster is made from lime, water, and a brown volcanic ash called pozzolana. These are mixed into a smooth violet-colored paste. The plaster is applied to a surface prepared the day before called the oricio. This fresh, wet layer, the intonico, is applied just before painting.
Now, this means that the plaster could only be applied little by little as the painter worked in terms of what he thought he might finish in a day or before lunch or what have you. There's a word in Italian which is called the giornata.
After the plaster is applied, the design is transferred using cartoons, drawings on paper. The contours of the figure are incised into the wet plaster, sometimes using a piece of wood. A different technique is used to outline the details around the face.
The other technique is called spolvero in Italian and probably called a pouncing technique in English. We make a series of small holes along the lines in certain very key points. Michelangelo, we see, did the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, the throat, and then takes a little sack of charcoal or some powdered pigment, and then you'll see the pigment goes through the holes and leaves the design on the fresco, so he has something to use as a guide for painting. You see, that would be how Michelangelo transferred his design, and with that it gives you a base for painting.
Michelangelo mixed ground pigments with water. He used just 7 colors derived from minerals found in earthen clays. For his greens, he used green earth, ochres for his yellows and reds, and cobalt or lapis lazuli for the blues. When Michelangelo applied the colors to the wall, they had a translucent quality, like watercolor. But as the plaster dried, a process called carbonation took place. Carbon dioxide in the air combined with the lime in the plaster to form a hardened rock-like surface of calcium carbonate. As a result of this process, the pigment particles were cemented in place, becoming a part of the wall.
Standard fresco technique is a rather stable technique. When it's done well, it lasts thousands of years. We have Roman frescoes that are close to 2,000 years old.
But did Michelangelo vary the standard technique in any way, embellish it perhaps by adding any other layers of paint or glue varnish to the surface of the fresco? Unfortunately, there is no complete record of Michelangelo's working technique. In letters to his family, he did write about painting the chapel, but he mostly complained of the uncomfortable working conditions. In front, my skin grows loose and long. My head is bent back on my shoulders, and my paintbrush drips a rich mosaic onto my face.
The basic tools are the same as the ancients. It's hard in just giving a list of tools. How does that translate into a beautiful work of art? Working by hand, everything slows down, and you can think about what you're doing while you're doing it. You start roughing out, taking the bulk of the weight off with a point chisel, which concentrates all the force of your blow at one point and bursts the stone away. Your next step after that, having removed the bulk of the material, is to model your form with the tooth chisel. A tooth chisel is basically the comb, and you use a tooth chisel to model form, while at the same time remove stone fairly quickly. If you cut at a very oblique angle to the stone, you can get a finer surface. If you're forcing the tool straight into the stone, you can get quite a different texture. The rasp is just a whole row of fine little teeth cut into a piece of metal, and you can then just rub or grind this tool into the stone, removing material, and really refine a plane. Depending on how you use the tool, you can really emphasize certain forms.